Well, those were the words there from the SACP's second Deputy General Secretary, Mr. Mapaila. In fact, he joins us in studio now just to tell us a little bit more about what happened today, and also this commemoration of struggle stalwart Chris Hani. Thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
I think let's start where the day should have started. 24 years ago, struggle stalwart Chris Hani was assassinated. 24 years down the line, how should we be remembering him? What is your message to South Africans?
Well, I think we should focus much more on principles and the values that he stood for democracy, unity, discipline, particularly for those of us in the revolutionary movement, for revolutionary discipline, revolutionary morality, as well as example that takes on board the views of the overwhelming majority of the people, because our movement over the years has actually won people by its example largely. Of course, its ideas, but how they conducted themselves and how they treated the people, the level of humility, selflessness to serve the people. All those features are the features that Chris Hani embodied. And when he wrote the memorandum to Morogoro that led to Morogoro conference, these were some of the key features that is actually elucidated in that memorandum.
You know, many people would look at some of his writings and some of the things that he said, and they might say, actually, he was almost prophetic or ahead of his times. What could he see that people couldn't see at the time?
You remember he moved around. He lived in Zambia, he lived in Lesotho, all over the world as well. So he had seen what was happening. He was a scholar of politics and what to expect when governments are in power. He cautioned about many other problems that will happen. The movement itself cautions about this thing in many of its writings. And of course, the current leadership had to stay true to the values of the movement, selfless service to the people, making sure that leaders don't serve themselves, their families, and think that the political offices that we occupy, for instance, are for that purpose. Those offices are actually borrowed offices by society to serve them. If you feel you have reached a stage where you are no longer able to serve the society, leave the office, allow others to come in and make their contribution to serve society. On and on, it must be that kind of a process. But you don't stay on and become self-centered individuals, serve your own self, your family, your friends, as we have seen recently with the Gupta group, for instance, effectively running the shots about our government. And this is part of the main reason why the SACP made a call that the president must step down.
So you say the party has made this call for the president to step down. He joked that you joke with each other. How's your relationship with the president at the moment? Well,
I mean, I've always said this is not personal. We get along with all leaders of the movement, even those that we differ with in meetings and so forth. But it's never personal. It's about the views of the organization. I represent the views of the Communist Party. And the Communist Party feels at this particular time and moment that we need to regain our moral strength, moral leadership of society. We need to regain people's confidence on our movement. And at the moment, the embodiment of all of this, the president of the country, it's lacking in this regard. And this was highly demonstrated in the manner that he handled the recent cabinet reshuffles and the extent to which even senior ANC officials came out to indicate that we were not party to this. Then who's party to that? Because we had given him, on the basis of his position in the movement, the position of the president, an extremely important position. In that position, very few errors must occur. And if there are many gross errors continuously, it demotivates the entire movement and it makes people not respect the entire movement. They shy away from the very system.
So it's not the person, but more the leadership that's being displayed that is a problem for the SACP.
That's exactly the point. Of course, in this case, that leadership at the core is exercised through President Zuma, and we feel that in the manner that it is done, it is not satisfactory. That is why we've called on the ANC.
But he has his supporters, and today they showed you that they don't agree with you. Were you surprised with the reaction that you got, the heckling and the booing? And what are your thoughts seeing that kind of thing playing itself out more and more often these days?
obviously it's unfortunate. We were aware that we were going to be booed. We could have actually booed back, our comrade could have booed back the president when he was speaking, but we actually called order. We said we want that occasion to be respected. It's an occasion which we think a government made a good decision to declare that monument a national heritage site, so that all South Africans, they don't have to wait for the 10th of April to go there. They can go there anytime, go and reflect on the life and times of Comrade Chris and his contributions. So that's what we want. We think it's an important intervention by government. So therefore, the occasion, we wanted to respect it. And we've said our differences must be put aside so that this matter is put forth. Of course, it doesn't take away the position that we've taken as a Communist Party, which actually was reflected in our statement.
Is the SACP on the outside now? You talk about this alliance and this strong sort of union bonds that have stood the test of time, but if ANC members are booing you in public in the way that they did, and Praveen Gordhan yesterday, is the SACP on the outside now? It's
not just, I mean, this is a hirelings, for instance, the factionalists that have been hired to come and disrupt the event. We actually know some of them. In fact, the clip there also showed some of the people there. We told the leadership of the region about this thing and the fact that we're not going to revenge that particular booing on the president, because we were ourselves would have undermined that occasion, and we do not want our members to ever boo any leader who is on stage for differing with them. We want to differ with people by the superiority of our ideas, and that must be demonstrated, even the superiority of our example. That's how we will differ with them. And I think that when our comrade did not respond, for instance, they did not boo the president, because they booed me when I was receiving the wreath in the morning, and they allowed the president to present and finish, which was quite the decorum that we wanted for the family and the member of Comrade Chris.
So Friday we saw thousands of people across the country marching for what they felt is their cause, and that's to remove President Zuma. The president commented on it today, and he said that these marches were an example of the racism that exists. You were part of these marches, so are you racist?
No, of course. I think, firstly, let's affirm the fact that racism still exists in the country, and we still need to continue to fight against it. We launched a campaign a couple of years ago to fight against racism as the Communist Party. It hasn't really caught up the fires that we thought it would, but it's still a problem. But to actually demonize this mass anger of the people as just a racist program, it's unfortunate. In fact, I can tell you, our comrades joined the march, some of them, after our march was cancelled because the new Minister of Finance refused to accept our memorandum. And as a consequence of that, our march was declared unauthorized or illegal, as using the old apartheid terms by Commissioner Patlani, who actually disappointed us because he didn't actually know what he was talking about or what he was actually doing. So that march was a broad representatives of the people of South Africa. Of course, the opposition parties as well came in and joined the march. We couldn't chase them away. We worked with Safe SA in this regard, because we had our march, they had their march. When ours was disrupted, we said, that's fine, we can join. The objective is the same. But to just label that, many ANC cadres there who fought in the liberation struggle, I saw many of them, some in our attire, some not in our attire, but they were there. And to all label all of those people racist is quite unfortunate. In fact, we need to reaffirm our non-racialism as a movement.
We've run out of time, but perhaps briefly, just as a final thought, what kind of leadership do you think Chris Hani might have been able to bring to South Africa at this time?
Yes, we can't anticipate, but what we can say, looking at what he did towards when he drafted the memorandum with other comrades, he was a robust comrade. He would raise all issues as long as he believed in them, was ready to be corrected when he was wrong. And I think that that's the kind of leadership we're trying to provide within our own principles. And if people say factionalism is good, corruption is good, then we'll shut up. But if we still believe factionalism, corruption, nepotism, capturing of the state institutions are bad, we will continue to fight irrespective of who's involved, whether it's the president or not.
All right, Mapaila, the second Deputy General Secretary of the South African Communist Party, thank you very much indeed for your time and sharing your thoughts with us as we commemorate the assassination of Chris Hani. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, opposition parties are ready